Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, and we're going to do another comic book video. This time I'm going to talk about how WarnerMedia is trying to get some brand synergy going on between Rooster Teeth and DC Comics. For some reason, they're pairing up RWBY with the Justice League. I don't understand the logic in this. RWBY does seem to be a declining brand for sure, but they're bound and determined they're going to make it stick. This probably is a Rooster Teeth thing, to be honest. They want to make sure that the general public knows about RWBY, because they don't. It's been a very kind of niche internet thing up to this point, but it is part of the WarnerMedia portfolio of crap that they bought off of Time Warner. So before we get into it, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 170,000 subs. Thank you for the support. Looking for 200,000. Anything you can do to help would be amazing. And this year has actually been amazing for us in terms of growth. So thank you so much for that. So yeah, got a tip from GameWizard02 that DC Comics is betting on RWBY to save their dying brand. That's not going to work, because I actually think RWBY is a weaker brand. Rooster Teeth is a weaker brand than DC Comics at this point. This was put on Bleeding Cool, that RWBY returns to DC Comics, but like Scooby-Doo, it's doing so courtesy of DC Comics IP. In the April 2021 solicitations, it's also a Justice League crossover with RWBY by Marguerite Bennett and Aniki. I don't know. Like Scooby-Doo, it will feature versions of the DC Comics characters suitable to that crossover universe, in this case, remnant versions of Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman. RWBY, pronounced Ruby, is an American anime-styled web series created by Monty of Rooster Teeth, R.I.P., set in the fictional world of Remnant, where young people train to become warriors, blah, 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 blah. So this is really interesting. They're doing this because they had a RWBY comic, a standalone RWBY comic, and I think it got canceled because the general public doesn't know about RWBY. They don't care about Rooster Teeth, and I think they're trying to justify their existence. Everybody at Warner is kind of freaking out, different divisions of Warner, and it's not good. It's not looking good for Rooster Teeth in particular. They've had a lot of scandals. They had some scandals regarding some of their on-air personalities last year, and they've had a lot of people leave. Some of them just moving on to greener pastures, some of them under very dubious circumstances. But everything that we've heard on the back end is that eventually, as WarnerMedia continues to consolidate, that Rooster Teeth will just be a kind of a brand under Cartoon Network Studios. That this is where things are going. And the fact that they're smushing RWBY characters into DC Comics tells me that they're just going to roll this whole thing together at some point, whether or not Rooster Teeth actually wants to admit it. I mean, they've had a lot of people leave over the last couple of years. They've seen the writing on the wall from where I'm sitting. I would leave too. I would be like, yeah, we're laying people off like crazy. I mean, most of the headlines for Rooster Teeth, other than their charity stuff, most of the headlines are negative. I mean, they're not good. You go out and look for news on Rooster Teeth, and they're cutting people back. They're reorganizing at the top. They've got scandals, all kinds of scandals with their on-air talent. They've got their co-founders leaving. I think, most of the co-founders have left already, except for a couple of the guys. It's just not looking good. You look at where they're at on YouTube, and Rooster Teeth was primarily an online video thing, and they were kind of doing YouTube before YouTube was a thing, but they're really kind of striking out on YouTube. They really are. I mean, it's been kind of a slow decline, but they are declining. People aren't interested. They're losing subs, and in regards to YouTube, that's where they build a lot of their audience for RWBY, and they took a lot of the content off of YouTube. They want you to pay. They want you to go behind a paywall. Again, these are all signs that this company is in bigger trouble than they're letting on. They're going to pretend that everything's okay on the surface, but the reality is I think they know they're on borrowed time. The only brand they have that's really worth anything outside of their on-air personalities and that stuff is RWBY, and it's declining too. I did a Google search for Google Trends to see where RWBY was, and it basically peaked in 2016. And it's been kind of a downward slope since then. And RWBY, frankly, is just another CGI anime cartoon, anime style cartoon, and it's one of many. And it's getting kind of buried. And, I think they're doing this to try to prop this brand up to build, awareness of RWBY outside of YouTube, outside of the relatively small circle of Rooster Teeth fans. It just feels very desperate-ish. I don't know where it's going to go. I do think ultimately that Rooster Teeth will just be a brand slapped on some animated content produced by Cartoon Network, and/or, well, I can't even say Crunchyroll. They sold Crunchyroll, right? I mean, if Crunchyroll wasn't worth keeping around, why does Rooster Teeth think they're worth keeping around? And the short answer is I don't think they are. And I think it's the beginning of the end. It's been the beginning of the end for like 2 years now for Rooster Teeth as we've known it. I think it's basically done, and this is just sort of the lingering effects of that. So I'm going to wrap this up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk to you later.